Welcome to this module on aliasing. I've connected to the sample superstore data, and we are thinking about changing the consumer segment to something called customer focused. So I don't necessarily need to change it in the data yet, or maybe I don't have access to the back-end data, but within the reporting I might even have other fields that are calculated from the word consumer. So I don't necessarily want to change that in the backend data. So what I want to do is just change what the customer sees. So if I select, I can do this in two places. If I select here in the data connection pane and go down to aliases, then I'll see all of the fields within this, all the field options within this field, and I can click the value that I want to name, in this case consumer, and I want to call it customer focused. So when you hit enter for this, it'll tell you that it has an alias. If you hit OK, it changes every consumer row to customer focused, but on the back end it still says consumer. So if you had calculations or something, that would still be appropriate. You can also do this directly in your sheet on your data source. If I right-clicked one of these, like if I right-clicked segment again, and they decided they wanted to change that name to something different, I can right-click and say edit aliases from here, and now they just want to call it customers. And so now what the user sees when you add it to any visualization is the word customers. If you wanted to do something where you were grouping items, the bad thing about aliases is you can only have one alias of that name per field. So if I wanted to go back to segment, select aliases, and corporate should now be called customers too, I would get a value, I would get an error message. So what you would want to do from this is either create sets or calculations to rename those fields. In this case, if I wanted to group items, say I want one line item for both of these printers or anything called printers, there are a few things that I can do. I can either create a set by going to the product name and create set, and so I can call this printers, and I can type it in here and hit all. That's great. That gives me 43 things in this field, in this set. However, what if we add new things that add new products, which is very easy to do, and this hard codes the values, so I won't capture any new values. So what I can do is make it a condition that it contains the word printer. And so now if I put this out on my sheet, what it shows you are things in and out of a set. We'll talk about that in a subsequent video. But now I can rename those fields by creating a calculated field on top of that set and say that this is my abbreviated products, or my categorical, something, whatever you want to name it. And you can call that set in a calculation. And when you start to type it out, you see the little Venn diagram up here means that it's a set. So now if I looked at this field, these are all called printer. Everything on my in. If I went to the outs, you could see now it keeps that same name. So that's another way that you can alias something where you have more than one value. Thank you very much for watching.